3 years ago, Daniel almost lost his wife, his daughter, and his entire family after trusting the wrong person. His own sister stole money, poisoned his marriage, and nearly destroyed everything he loved. But somehow, Daniel and Christiana survived the betrayal and rebuilt their lives peacefully in France. They believed the nightmare was finally over, until another desperate relative arrived seeking help from poverty-stricken Nigeria. Daniel opened his home again, choosing kindness over fear. But this time, the betrayal would become even darker, more dangerous, and far more personal. Because the enemy was no longer outside the family. She was sleeping under their roof every night.
The winter rain tapped softly against Daniel's apartment windows, while Christiana folded laundry beside the glowing heater during another peaceful evening together. France no longer felt strange to them because years of struggle had slowly transformed unfamiliar streets into places carrying precious memories now. Olamilekan sat near the dining table completing school assignments while humming Nigerian songs her mother taught during difficult nights years earlier back home. Daniel watched his daughter quietly and thanked God silently because her laughter once seemed impossible during those painful seasons of suffering and betrayal. The scars from Angela's betrayal never disappeared completely, but time softened their bitterness and replaced fear with careful understanding between husband and wife. Christiana still checked every financial record personally because experience taught her trust survived better when protected carefully through honesty and responsibility together always. Daniel respected her caution completely because guilt still lived deeply inside him, despite years spent rebuilding their broken marriage through consistent, faithful actions. Their apartment overlooked crowded streets filled with immigrants chasing survival, dreams, and dignity beneath the grey skies handing heavily across Lyon every winter. One freezing evening, Daniel received an unexpected phone call while preparing dinner beside Christiana and their growing daughter after another exhausting business meeting downtown. The voice trembling across the phone belonged to Amara, Daniel's younger cousin from Nigeria, whom he had not spoken with recently before tonight. Amara explained tearfully that life in Ibadan had become unbearable after her father's death destroyed their already fragile financial survival completely there. Her younger brother Chike stopped attending school because unpaid fees forced him into dangerous street labor, carrying heavy goods through crowded, dirty marketplaces daily. Daniel listened silently while memories returned sharply because he once carried similar burdens before escaping poverty through sacrifice, distance, and heartbreaking personal losses himself. Christiana watched Daniel carefully from across the kitchen because she recognized that familiar sadness growing quietly behind his tired, compassionate eyes once again. Amara begged Daniel for temporary shelter inside France, promising she only needed honest work helping relatives survive desperate hunger back home in Nigeria again. The apartment became silent after Daniel ended the call because everybody understood how dangerous generosity sometimes became when mixed with family desperation and dependence. Christiana lowered her eyes slowly before speaking because painful memories from Angela's betrayal still haunted every corner of her carefully rebuilt emotional stability deeply. She reminded Daniel gently that kindness without boundaries once nearly destroyed their marriage, their daughter's childhood, and their ability trusting anyone completely afterward again. Daniel understood her fears completely, yet guilt touched his conscience because ignoring suffering reminded him too much of their painful, abandoned years before. Olamilekan listened quietly while pretending to study because childhood suffering taught adults often hid storms beneath ordinary conversations around frightened children constantly. That night, Daniel sat awake beside the darkened living room window, remembering rainy Nigerian evenings where hunger shaped every difficult decision surrounding their family. He remembered strangers showing unexpected kindness during impossible moments, and those memories slowly convinced him helping Amara remained morally necessary despite past betrayals. Morning sunlight entered softly while Daniel finally explained his decision calmly over breakfast shared together before work and school responsibilities separated everyone again. Christiana remained silent briefly before agreeing carefully, because refusing help completely felt cruel despite every painful lesson life already forced upon her previously. She requested strict financial boundaries immediately, insisting Amara never access business accounts, valuables, or personal family matters without direct permission from both spouses. Daniel promised sincerely that things would remain different this time because wisdom learned painfully should protect them against repeating dangerous emotional mistakes ever again. 2 months later, Amara arrived carrying one worn suitcase, frightened eyes, and desperate gratitude, while snow covered Lyon's crowded streets outside silently everywhere.
Amara stepped nervously inside Daniel's apartment while Olamoni watched curiously from the hallway beside framed family photographs hanging quietly against cream-colored walls there. Christiana welcomed her politely despite lingering doubts because African culture taught hospitality even when painful memories warned hearts against careless emotional attachment repeatedly before. Amara cried softly during dinner while describing Nigerian hardships, speaking about unpaid hospital debts and nights surviving without proper meals alongside her struggling brother. Daniel listened with heavy emotions because every painful detail reminded him painfully of his own childhood before France changed his family's difficult destiny forever. During those first months, Amara behaved carefully, always respectful, helpful, and deeply grateful for every opportunity Daniel and Christiana generously provided inside France. She cleaned the apartment willingly each morning, while Christiana managed family finances and supervised Olamoni's education alongside part-time community volunteer responsibilities nearby regularly. Daniel eventually offered Amara small administrative tasks inside his growing construction company because he believed productive work restored damaged confidence and personal dignity gradually. Amara handled invoices carefully, greeted clients politely, and earned admiration from employees who praised her humility and hardworking attitude throughout busy, stressful business operations. Christiana slowly relaxed around Amara because the young woman appeared genuinely sincere, unlike Angela, whose jealous bitterness always revealed itself through subtle, hostile behavior at all. One peaceful Sunday afternoon, Amara cooked traditional jollof rice, while music played softly and laughter filled the apartment with warmth rarely experienced previously there. Daniel smiled proudly, watching everyone together because family harmony once seemed permanently impossible after betrayal nearly destroyed everything he loved deeply years earlier before. Amara often called her younger brother Chike late evenings, speaking softly Yoruba, while tears occasionally slipped down her exhausted, worried face during conversations home. Christiana overheard those emotional calls sometimes and genuinely sympathized because she understood how helpless distance could make people supporting struggling loved ones financially abroad at all. Months passed peacefully, and winter eventually surrendered slowly to warmer sunlight spreading across Lyon's crowded streets and busy outdoor marketplaces during early springtime.
Daniel trusted Amara increasingly and even allowed Amara temporary access, organizing simple company receipts whenever accountants became overwhelmed during demanding business expansion projects recently. The decision seemed harmless initially because Amara never behaved suspiciously, and employees considered her loyal, disciplined, and surprisingly responsible despite difficult personal circumstances recently experienced. Meanwhile, Chike's life inside Nigeria improved suddenly because expensive medications, school payments, and new clothing appeared, despite her sister earning modest wages abroad only. Amara secretly transferred small amounts from unused business accounts carefully, believing Daniel possessed enough wealth, never noticing missing money disappearing gradually over many months. At first, she justified everything internally because desperation convinced survival mattered more than honesty when poor families depended entirely upon dangerous financial sacrifices abroad. Each transfer became easier afterward because guilt weakens slowly whenever wrongdoing succeeds repeatedly without consequences, suspicion, or uncomfortable questions from trusting, generous relatives nearby. One afternoon, Christiana noticed missing earrings inherited from her late mother, but exhaustion prevented deeper investigation beyond assuming careless misplacement during household cleaning recently happened. Amara comforted Christiana warmly while secretly hiding those same earrings inside her bedroom luggage before arranging shipment alongside money destined secretly toward Nigeria soon afterward. Daniel remained completely unaware because business pressures consumed most days, leaving little time examining detailed company transactions or changing household emotional tensions developing quietly nearby. Olamide, however, observed subtle changes carefully because childhood betrayal sharpened her instincts, teaching hidden truths often lived beneath ordinary human faces daily. She noticed Amara purchasing expensive clothing mysteriously despite limited wages, yet fear prevented mentioning suspicions without concrete proof supporting uncomfortable, dangerous accusations against family again. Late one evening, Daniel's longtime employee Marcel reviewed unusual financial discrepancies during routine auditing procedures and immediately sensed something deeply troubling inside company records recently. Marcel arrived early next morning, carrying thick financial files while tension followed him silently through Daniel's busy construction office inside Central Lyon downtown. Daniel welcomed him casually at first, but concern slowly replaced comfort after noticing Marcel's unusually serious expression during their private scheduled meeting together there. Marcel explained carefully that multiple unauthorized transfers appeared repeatedly across smaller business accounts during recent months without proper documentation or approval signatures attached. Daniel frowned deeply while examining printed statements because transaction amounts remained small individually, yet shocking when combined into frightening, overwhelming totals altogether now. Every suspicious transfer traced back toward accounts connected secretly to Nigeria, particularly one belonging directly to Amara's younger brother Chike, living desperately there still. Daniel's chest tightened painfully because disbelief battled violently against memory, reminding him too much of Angela's devastating betrayal years earlier before reconciliation finally arrived afterward. Marcel continued speaking cautiously because he understood Daniel's history and feared reopening emotional wounds that nearly destroyed his employer's family permanently once before already. Daniel requested complete silence temporarily, while additional investigations confirmed undeniable evidence proving thousands disappeared steadily through manipulated records and hidden electronic transfers secretly performed. That evening, Daniel returned home unusually quiet while Christiana prepared dinner beside Olamilekan, who immediately sensed something dangerous hiding behind her father's troubled expression again. After Olamilekan slept peacefully upstairs, Daniel finally revealed everything slowly, placing audit documents carefully across the dining table beneath dim apartment lighting tonight there. Christiana stared silently toward the papers, while painful memories resurfaced instantly, carrying back emotions she spent years struggling desperately to finally overcome completely afterward. She closed her eyes briefly because history felt cruelly repetitive, as though betrayal continuously haunted their family, regardless how carefully they protected themselves from others. Daniel apologized repeatedly, although Christiana blamed neither him nor herself, because kindness itself was never truly wrong, despite dangerous people exploiting compassionate, trusting hearts. Together, they decided confronting Amara calmly mattered more than anger, because truth revealed carefully often exposed guilt more effectively than uncontrolled emotional accusations publicly later. The following afternoon, Daniel invited Amara downstairs while Christiana remained seated quietly beside the same dining table, witnessing another painful family confrontation unfold slowly there. Amara entered smiling casually until she noticed serious faces surrounding scattered financial documents, causing sudden fear flashing visibly across her trembling, worried expression immediately afterward. Daniel asked simple questions initially, giving Amara opportunities speaking honestly before accusations hardened permanently into consequences destroying relationships beyond future repair forever afterward. Amara denied everything quickly, insisting accounting mistakes probably confused Marcel because she barely understood advanced company financial systems or international transfer procedures properly herself. Daniel remained calm while presenting detailed records proving identical transaction patterns connected directly toward Chike's Nigerian account repeatedly across many consecutive months without interruption. The room fell completely silent afterward because Amara finally understood denial collapsed beneath overwhelming evidence exposing every hidden dishonest action she secretly committed recently there. Christiana watched quietly while Amara's composure shattered suddenly into desperate crying, heavy breathing, and emotional excuses overflowing uncontrollably throughout the painfully uncomfortable apartment atmosphere tonight. Amara confessed sending money secretly because Chike depended entirely upon her support after dangerous street violence left him hospitalized and unable working anymore recently back. Daniel listened silently, but disappointment overshadowed sympathy because Amara never trusted family enough, requesting help honestly before choosing theft and deception instead, repeatedly afterward. Christiana finally spoke softly, reminding Amara they survived poverty themselves without stealing from loved ones who sacrificed everything, offering shelter, dignity, and unconditional support freely. Amara then admitted another horrifying truth quietly, revealing she also sold Christiana's missing jewelry pieces gradually through immigrant markets hidden across neighboring crowded districts recently. Daniel's face hardened painfully because betrayal inside his own home wounded differently, especially after promising Christiana their family would never repeat old devastating mistakes again.
The apartment felt unbearably heavy that night, while cold rain struck windows, echoing heartbreak spreading silently across Daniel's exhausted, wounded family once again there. Amara remained kneeling beside the dining table, crying uncontrollably, while Christiana stood motionless, protecting herself emotionally from another devastating family betrayal unfolding before her. Daniel paced slowly across the living room because anger battled painfully against compassion, leaving his heart trapped between justice and lingering family loyalty tonight there.
Olamon watched secretly from the staircase shadows, frightened because painful memories returned suddenly, reminding her childhood how betrayal once destroyed their peaceful family completely before. Amara begged repeatedly for forgiveness, explaining desperation clouded her judgment after years watching her younger brother suffer helplessly through poverty and violence back home continually. Christiana listened quietly before asking one painful question that immediately silenced everyone inside the apartment, filled heavily with guilt and emotional exhaustion afterward completely. If your brother needed help desperately, why didn't you simply ask us honestly, instead stealing from people already protecting and feeding you here? Amara lowered her head shamefully because deep inside, she understood greed slowly replaced desperation long before Daniel discovered hidden financial theft occurring secretly underneath trust. She admitted feeling jealous watching Daniel's successful, peaceful family because she believed suffering unfairly followed certain people while blessing others without equal painful sacrifices everywhere. Daniel's heart broke hearing those words because Angela once carried identical bitterness before destroying relationships through lies, manipulation, selfishness, and deliberate emotional cruelty previously already. The painful realization haunted him deeply because different people repeated similar betrayals whenever jealousy poisoned gratitude and transformed kindness into dangerous entitled resentment slowly afterward. Christiana finally stepped forward calmly and removed house keys from Amara's trembling hands before placing them silently beside scattered financial evidence there tonight together. She explained firmly that forgiveness remained possible someday, but trust, once shattered repeatedly, could never survive beneath the same roof comfortably again afterward anymore there. Amara cried harder hearing those words because she suddenly understood losing genuine family hurt far worse than losing temporary financial security or comfortable living conditions afterward. Daniel contacted legal advisors next morning because business theft required official consequences despite emotional connections complicating every painful decision surrounding family betrayal once again now. Marcel supported Daniel carefully throughout investigations, while employees reacted with shock discovering trusted Amara secretly manipulated company accounts over many hidden months previously there. News traveled quickly through Nigerian immigrant communities across Lyon because betrayal stories spread rapidly wherever struggling families depended heavily upon shared trust and survival together. Some people criticized Daniel harshly for involving police against family, insisting African relatives should resolve painful conflicts privately without public legal intervention ever happening outside. Others defended Daniel completely because silence often protects wrongdoing, allowing destructive behavior repeating endlessly through generations, afraid confronting uncomfortable, painful truths directly afterward again. Christiana ignored outside opinions entirely because survival taught her strangers judge situations emotionally without carrying burdens hidden behind closed family doors themselves previously before. Weeks later, Amara left France quietly after accepting legal settlement conditions requiring repayment arrangements, instead imprisonment, threatening her future permanently afterward, beyond repair completely there. Before departing, she visited Daniel and Christiana one final time, carrying deep shame inside eyes once filled previously with hopeful gratitude and ambitious determination before. Amara apologized sincerely this time, without excuses, admitting kindness frightened her because she never believed life could offer genuine love without hidden painful conditions afterward. Daniel accepted her apology quietly, but maintained emotional distance because wisdom learned painfully taught him compassion never required reopening dangerous broken doors again afterward anymore. After Amara disappeared from their lives completely, peace slowly returned, although invisible sadness lingered softly throughout the apartment during ordinary family routines afterward there. One evening, Olamon asked her parents why family members kept hurting people who genuinely loved and protected them through difficult, painful circumstances repeatedly throughout life. Christiana embraced her daughter gently before answering, "Some hearts become poisoned by envy, but we must never allow bitterness poisoning ours too, my child."